Well, hi everyone. It's so good to see all of your faces, and the number of people who are here really reflects the interest in this topic. I am so honored to welcome all of you to our Fall 2024 Jammy Career Panel Kickoff event. Our topic this month is Start Your Own Gig. So for those of you who are launching or plan to launch a business, practice, or side hustle, this is the session for you. My name is Yas Hardaway, and I'm the Executive Director of Career Services at GSEP. And our JAMI Communities of Practice programs are a partnership between GSEP Career Services and our Alumni Relations team. For those of you who are new to our JAMI Communities of Practice, you may be wondering, what is JAMI? JAMI is a Swahili term for community, and our JAMI Communities of Practice programs are designed to provide up-to-date labor market information for the fields of education and psychology, and also help you connect to a broader professional network at Pepperdine. In the fall, we host our JAMI career panels, which are moderated Q&A sessions. And in the spring, we host our JAMI career chats, which are interactive breakout room conversations. So let's take a look to see what is in store for today. So I'll start by reviewing our learning outcomes so you have a sense of what we hope that you will gain. We'll cover a few housekeeping items, and then we will move into panelist introductions. So our Director of Alumni Relations will introduce our panelists and lead us in a moderated Q&A session. We will then have an opportunity, hopefully, to open it up to participant questions, and then close out with some resources that we think will be helpful for you and information about what's next. So what do we hope that you will gain from our session today? At GSEP Career Services, our vision is that every graduate would have the clarity, the confidence, and the community to be able to access, thrive in, and transform the future workplace. So the learning outcomes for programs such as these is that it'll help you gain clarity about what the next step is in your career planning, that it'll help you gain confidence in your ability to successfully move forward in your career planning and towards your career objective, and then it'll help you connect to industry professionals from the Pepperdine community. Okay, some brief housekeeping items. As you can see, the session is being recorded and will be posted to our GSEP YouTube playlist under the JAMI Communities of Practice playlist. And you can also then look at all the previous recordings as well too. You will make note that live transcription is provided for those of you who would like to use that. We encourage you to do that. And then as audience members, I invite you to use the rename tool to make sure that your first and last name is included. It'll give an opportunity to see who's in the room. And then if you would like in the chat, we'd love to have you just make note of what stage you are in launching your own business practice or side hustle. So either put pre-launch, so if it's an idea that you're thinking about or preparing for, if you're in the early stages of launching your business, or if you are 5 years plus. So pre-launch, early stage, or 5 years plus. If you are willing to put that in the chat, that'll give us a sense of who's here today. And then anytime you have questions, please feel free to also put those in the chat, and Sophia will make sure to combine some of those questions in our follow-up panel discussion. And then finally, you'll notice in the chat, Franya will be placing our JAMI Communities of Practice participant drive. And in that drive, you'll have access to our speaker lineup, so bios of all of our panelists today, DEIB resources that we'll be sharing with you later that are relevant to today's topic, and then the recording will be added there as well too. So without further ado, I will turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Renee Dorn, Director of Alumni Relations, who will be introducing our fabulous panelist lineup today. Dr. Dorn?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yaz. I am so excited that we have so many alumni that will be joining us today for our panel discussion. And I'm going to quickly introduce each one of them so we can go right into the discussion. So our first alum is Dr. Amber Brattain Hale. Welcome, Dr. Brattain Hale. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. Now, before we get started, I want to ask you if you could please let everybody know the program that you graduated from under GSEP, the name of your business or businesses, and how long you've had each business.
I graduated from the PhD in Global Leadership and Change in 2023. I have two of my own endeavors. One is a family office called the Britain Group. It started out as a volunteer effort in medical and education advocacy and grew into more of a policy and a reformist type organization. We have added consultancy and a tech piece to that. And then my other endeavor is called Brain States, and that is a think tank research to action group. And that research is principally for me around diplomacy, female-led diplomacy, and other geopolitical endeavors. And that, again, I think I mentioned that was founded at the first of last year, so it's almost 2 years.
2 years. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Brattain Hale. And we will be speaking with you in a few more minutes after I introduce the next panelists. So thank you. Next we have is Valerie Esquivel. Welcome, Valerie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, please tell us the GSEP program that you graduated from, the name of your business, and how long you have had your business.
Sure. So I was part of the Social Entrepreneurship and Change program. I graduated in 2016. That is where I developed the concept for my business today, which is called Plantitas Verdes. We are a full service plant design studio. We service commercial and residential spaces, primarily for creatives and entrepreneurs. And I'm happy to be here and share a little bit about my story.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Our next panelist is another SEC grad, and that is Bree Jensen. Welcome, Bree.
Hi, everyone. So exciting to see how many ideas are circulating among all of you in the pre-launch stage. Really cool. My name's Bree. I have the social impact firm. I did the social entrepreneurship and change program in 2022. I think I graduated. It was a mid-career bucket list thing to do, and I'm so glad I did it. I've launched 3 businesses and 2 nonprofits. My business now, we do project management for corporate social responsibility, entrepreneurs and nonprofits. Been able to work on some fun projects like launching ABC's Bachelorette nonprofit recently, getting ready to launch an organization called Latinas in Beauty, which is elevating the Latina voice in the beauty industry. So yeah, just doing some fun stuff here in Los Angeles.
Wow, you are doing a lot. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Bree. Next, we have another GSEP alum, Christine K. Wong. Welcome, Christine.
Hi there.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting. Hi there. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Christine, tell us about the program that you graduated from, in addition to the name of your business and how long you've had your business.
So the program that I graduated from was Clinical Psych, MFT, a master's program, and I graduated in 2020. And right now I've launched a private practice for my counseling services, and I've been in a founder position and CEO for the last 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Wonderful. Can't wait to hear more about it. So thank you so much for joining us. Our next panelist is Lior Ram. Welcome, Lior.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be back here. So my name is Lior. I graduated from GSEP's MFT clinical psychology program back in 2017, which when I think about the pandemic years feels like it was many decades ago. I launched my private practice in 2020, and my group is called Integrative Psychotherapy Group. We see a wide range of people here. Thankfully, we have many clinicians to cover a large base. So we work with teens, adults, families, groups, and couples.
Wonderful. And we can't wait to hear more about that. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And last but not least is another GSEP alum from the SEC program, Kathy Tan. Welcome, Kathy.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'm Kathy. I'm also a GSEP Social Entrepreneurship and Change alum of 2022. So I have two endeavors as well. So one that I've been the founder CEO for August of 2022. So about 2 years. And basically our mission is to empower the Asian American Pacific Islander community and beyond to thrive in life and career through leadership development, employee wellness, and building high inclusive and high performing teams. And then the second endeavor that I have recently just launched 2 months ago, so very recent. And I understand being in the pre-launch stages and recently launching. And so with that one, we are teaching folks about money and entrepreneurship.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for joining us. Now let's get into some in-depth questions about starting businesses and how to do this, because we have so many people who have joined us today that are very interested in finding out how to start a business. What were those first steps that you took in order to, well, first of all, decide what type of business you wanted to start? I noticed many of you have started your businesses based on maybe your degrees. So I'm going to start with those from the SEC program. Now, how did you decide what businesses to start? So Bree and Valerie and Kathy, I'm going to ask you, how did you decide on what businesses to start coming from the SEC program?
I like this question because I started quite a few things thinking I knew what people needed when I didn't know what people needed. So this time around, and really learned this in the program, is test, test, test. And really, I built the social impact firm based on what people were saying they needed. And I think that's super key to make sure there's an actual viable business that people are going to need when you're creating something.
Okay, now Valerie, yes.
For me, it was a little interesting because it was 2014 and we were in a severe drought here in Los Angeles. I wasn't sure what type of business I wanted to start, but you know, those situations where things just come together for you at the right time. I was starting my the entrepreneurship program. I had spent 12 years working with foster youth, and I wanted to figure out a way to blend those two together. And thankfully, with the program, I was able to come up with this concept. And so there was a need for both plants and also a need for providing opportunities for young people in foster care.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Now, Kathy, what about you? Because it's interesting with you, you also have a psychology background. So how did you come up with the concept for your businesses?
You know, I like to say that it kind of not fell into my lap, but I didn't see this as something I was planning to do. And so there's different moments throughout just my years that were like seeds planted, right? So I actually was working within Los Angeles Unified Schools and worked in an education nonprofit for years, working with students, coaching teams, all of that. And it was actually, I was noticing just like the pain point for me as a mandated reporter was working with the students and families who are navigating trauma. That was one seed planted. But also when the pandemic hit, March 2020, I actually spoke with the GSCP alumna too, and she actually gave me a lot of advice about this program, which was amazing to be able to be now on the other side of it. But just long story short, in 2022, I was seeing the need very heavily. One, just within my own family and friend circles, who I felt I could, my background was coaching and I've worked for Yelp and worked with business owners in the past and really just trying to put all of that together of how could I best, use my experiences and talents in order to be able to serve, those that I felt called to serve, which at the time were domestic violence survivors, and trauma. And I'm still doing that, but we've expanded more towards organizations who are also, supporting them as well. So I'm happy to share more in a bit.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Since we were on the topic of trauma and psychology, I'm going to go to Lior and to Christine, since they have the psychology backgrounds as well. So how did you decide on what type of business to start, and why did you start your businesses?
Such a great question. There are like a lot of answers that are coming to mind for me, but I'd say I come from a business background. I worked in operations management and consulting for a while before I made the switch to psychology. And so I think in the back of my mind, I always kind of knew that I wanted to run my own practice. One of the things that I found a little frustrating about the healthcare field was how compartmentalized everything is. And something as simple as I grind my teeth, I have bruxism, but yet, any anxiety or issues with my dentist or neck pain, any of that is kind of treated separately, independently. And I thought there might be an opportunity to kind of integrate more of the healthcare modalities, and getting the opportunity to kind of create something that does that was very exciting to me. So it was during the pandemic when I realized that overhead would be very low that I decided to go ahead and launch.
Wonderful, wonderful. Christine, what about you?
This is a longer story, but I spent 10 years being a realtor, and that was not fulfilling for me. And so
Well, you
after
had a career change then.
and I think just kind of realigning to values and different values, and understanding like what unpacking generational trauma looks like, and what does that look like to not always do the filial piety decision and honor your parents, but to go with something that is more aligned to your heart and more aligned to your mission and purpose. I think that was like the end call to it all. And I think Pepperdine was such a great foundation as for someone that wanted to switch and had a lot of doubts and had a lot of uncertainty and had all the right staff to kind of foster that growth. And when I graduated, that was the peak of COVID. And of course, another shift and another shift, right? And so I think the decision has been ever changing, and I think it's continually changing. And I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Dr. Bertain Hale, now what's very interesting, you came from the PhD program and you have two businesses. And in addition, you are a leading expert in international relations. So how did you decide, one, to start your two businesses and then expand into international relations?
So I have an undergrad and a master's degree in international relations and have always researched in that and been interested in that. But I worked in nonprofit. And as part of that, I developed a certain expertise in medical advocacy, and my sister had one in educational advocacy. And as we were volunteering our efforts at medical appointments or IEPs, it turned out then word of mouth spread around, maybe one of the Britons would take care of a certain issue. So then it turned into the Britain Group, which is a family office. And we've been really successful in turning what just seemed like almost an innate talent, like my desire to help people speak to their doctor very candidly, or find a course of action, or in that educational pathway, it turned into something bigger than that. We've had some successes in being principals in the lawsuit that opened the public schools after COVID, changing some HOA policies to not discriminate against families. I served on a committee that opened a public health initiative with UCSD Medical Center. So some of these were really cool, and just we wandered into it. So for 9 years, we've operated the Britain Group, as I said, as a family office. And incidentally, my sister was named Idaho Lawyer of the Year last year as sole practitioner. She represented over 200 students in IEPs pro bono. So we are happy about this, but it didn't start out as a business plan. It was an accidental use of talents, and just asking what happens if you're not us, if you're not willing to have a door slammed in your face or take a difficult answer. So just kind of pushing through when someone isn't able to do that for themselves. So that is how the Britain Group started. As part of the Britain Group, one of my first research projects at Pepperdine looked at a change plan for an organization, which I put together for my local school district. I thought they were bungling their response, and there was a lot of poor discourse. And in particular, the superintendent, I thought, was on the wrong side of things. So my very first assignment in 2020 with Dr. Laura Hyatt, I had that paper, and then I wrote an executive summary. I sent it to the school district and said, here's how your liability reads to me based on lack of governance, lack of adherence, etc. Turns out that school district is in a very costly lawsuit for termination of the superintendent for her poor behavior. There's parents suing her for her bullying, everything that I had spelled out in this thing. But the reason why I went back to school quickly is because there was this credibility gap. How can you speak about these things? And my sister and I felt like we were getting dismissed quite a bit. And I was like, I've always wanted a PhD. I want to look at the things that I want to look at. So that's why I came back. But the Brain States came because I have a research partner also from Pepperdine. We had some overlap, and we decided that we're going to work on this together. And then my dissertation about public diplomacy and Volodymyr Zelensky got picked up by Defense University of Ukraine and got some citations. And then since that time, I have been a doctor on tour lecturing and providing research products based on this agenda. So I can't say I had a distinct business plan. I can say, whoops, I got really busy being able to talk about the things that I want to talk about and research in the areas that are interesting to me.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. I have a follow-up question to you. You had mentioned your sister as one of your business partners. And so one thing I want to ask, and this is to the entire panel, for those of you who have business partners, has it been beneficial for you to have a business partner? Did you seek out to have a business partner? Or was this something that you found out when you first got started that you really needed somebody else to assist you in the areas that you may not be as strong in, and they may be stronger in those areas? So Dr. Britton Hale, I want you to follow up with that as to has it been beneficial to you having a business partner, and why you decided to have partners?
Well, the Britain Group turned out we had some shared projects together where we both had a capacity, and we took on, again, a health system, a long care facility, a school district, an HOA that we each had a vested interest in. So that there was a shared alignment. Working with family is challenging and fun all together, but governance is an issue. So if you go to textbook governance and who's going to regulate who, when it is your sibling, I'm going to tell you that has some challenges, as fun and rewarding as it can be. So a business partner should be someone who complements your talents, but also can fill in gaps that you don't have. And my experience with education policy was slimmer than hers was. She's a lawyer, I'm not. There's a lot of complementary traits, but there's also spots where we had needed some coverage. So you should bring in somebody who can take up that slack that you're not able to provide if that's necessary. But in my current research agenda with Brain States, I don't have a partner working on my said projects, and I write and research those particular things alone, even though Brain States is shared with somebody else. What I look at is alone. So I think the rest of the panel should speak about whether they had a partner and how that works, but it can be difficult to regulate someone else's behavior, action, social media presence, if you will. It can be dilutive to your brand. And again, governance is always an issue regardless of the organization. So those would be my hot takes, is to be selective, do some diligence, and then have some rules around when you engage, what you engage about, how partnership is decided. Is there a percentage of ownership? Where are you domiciled? Brain States is domiciled in the UK, but in the US, it operates under a DBA, and then there's a nonprofit pending. So there's certain regulatory constraints that need to be considered with a partnership as well. And I think each business is going to have its own preference on how to evaluate those types of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bree, yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to step in because I'm in the thick of this right now, actually, and this is top of mind. I'm currently in Miami at a founders conference, and we've been chatting about this because I think my business partner is on right now. So hi, Megan, if you're here. But essentially, we just began a brand new partnership about a month ago, and Kathy knows because she was in my cohort, but I was always pushing back. Like, I don't think you need a partner. And, and the professors were like, no, partnership is a must. So it was always this conversation. And I think it really depends on the business. But what I found is as I've grown, it's been a really beautiful opportunity to bring in someone that does have different strengths and abilities. And I've worked with different contractors to see if that would work and finding like the best match. So really going through your due diligence and making sure it's the right fit. Because if it's not, that's going to be miserable. I've heard lots of those stories here in Miami this week. But when you have someone that can take an entire chunk of the business and you take a different chunk and you all stay in your lane, but then you can bounce things off of each other, it's such a huge benefit to growth. We're about to double because of our partnership. So hopefully she'll stick with me. I know she's out here, so we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you all posted.
Thank you. Great. Leor, yes.
I want to offer a counterpoint. So one of the populations that I work with a lot are business partners and people in family business. So they'll come in for kind of conjoint and family-oriented therapy. And I find there can be so many strengths and a lot of opportunities to really enhance the work that it is frankly impossible for one person to do on their own. I think boundaries and communication, as with any relationship, are incredibly important. And what I've done, I do not have a business partner, but as the practice has grown, I really want all of the clinicians here to feel a sense of ownership and to grow with the business. So it's not exactly a business partner, but in a way we're all partners, because if we grow and we succeed, then we all benefit from it. And I find that has really kind of empowered everybody in the business to want to offer up their ideas, to think of different initiatives, and to feel invested. It's not just kind of like a clock in, clock out kind of position.
Right. Right. Kathy, did you have a comment as well?
Sure, I can. I don't have a business partner per se, but also Leor, your response inspired me to speak because I have two folks who do coaching with us as well. So we're a team of 3, and they're amazing. And again, it was kind of serendipitous in the sense of, with Jenna, one of our coaches, I met her through a Filipino entrepreneurship program, and when we were chatting and co-working together, accountability, we all 3 have our own businesses, but we just realized that our visions were the same. Our audience was the same. Who we were trying to impact was the same, but we had different strengths and and areas of growth that complemented one another, right? And similar to what Bree had mentioned, when we partnered together, our impact grew, it multiplied. And same thing with Cherry, when she came on board as well, I met her through a networking, opportunity also. And we didn't start off talking about business. It just happened where, she's just amazing at what she does. I'm amazing at, we're amazing at what we do in our collective lane. And she does career coaching. She's been doing that for 25 plus years. And she's really been known for her marketing specialty, which that's been my weak point in a sense, right? And so, as we've, done our work and as, others, we sent out proposals, all of that, we've collectively been able to expand our impact because of, the strengths that each of us bring collectively to the table. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for that. I wanted to go to Valerie and Christine as well. If you had answers to that question about having business partners, whether that's a good thing for you or not.
Sure, I'll jump in. I remember when I first decided that I wanted to finally pursue this, I went and spoke to Jer, which was one of our professors, and he immediately was like, you need a partner. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't want a partner, because I wasn't fully ready and committed yet. I wasn't clear on my vision of what I wanted. And at that point, I didn't feel like it made sense for me to bring on a partner. And I wanted to have a more solid foundation. That was my thinking. 3.5 years in now, and we've grown. I'm working nonstop. Now I'm starting to think, okay, I have a clear vision. I know the direction I want to go in the next 2 to 3 years. Perhaps it makes sense to have a partner and to start thinking about that. What I've done in the interim is I've partnered with other folks that do the same thing that I do, and we collaborate and we sort of serve as like subcontractors. And that has been really beneficial to me, because then I'm able to see, what works, what doesn't, what are my strengths as a collaborator, what are my areas of weakness, and what have I learned through like communication and boundaries. And so I think if you're unsure if that's a fit for you, or you're not ready yet, for me, that has been, really helpful, and something I'm thinking about a lot these days.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Christine, I wanted to go to you.
I don't have a business partner at this time, but when I think of that word, I think of, my tax team is somewhat my business partner, because these are the things that worry me and keep me up at night and affect me and how I run the routines of, the private practice. And so when I think of business partners, I see the financial planner, I see the tax accountant, and I find a lot of solace in those conversations, because it allows me to focus on my primary strength. And I think in the future, as the business plans change and wanting to expand, I think I would look into having a business partner, or having additional supervisors or supervisees. And I think when I'm ready to cross that bridge, I will. But I think it's such a great conversation to have.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to ask one last question. And to those who are listening, if you have any questions for the panelists, please put them in the chat, because then you'll be able to, we'll have a Q&A with the audience in a few minutes. Okay, wonderful. For this last question that I have for the panel, and it's sort of a compounded question, and it has to do with marketing, because Kathy, you said one of the people that you work with is stronger in marketing than you are. So when it came to marketing, and this is for everyone, marketing your businesses, how did you go about doing that if you don't have, say, a business or a marketing background? And how do you use social media to help you with your marketing and turn maybe some of those followers into some of your actual clients? So I'm going to start with you, Kathy.
Sure. Well, I'll just say this with anything related to my business. Those that really know me, my faith guides everything. So I'm very deep in prayer and meditation and trusting my intuition when it comes to anything related to my business. And I'm very protective of my business because it's very personal to me. And so when it came to marketing, I will say the GSEP program really did help me a lot, just professors and just the different activities that they had us do to plan for post-graduation. So actually following through on those and looking at those plans that I did in our classes, that helped me to stay accountable. Being in different entrepreneur communities was really helpful, because I got to meet so many different kinds of folks. And I was also looking at my own friend and family circle in the very beginning of like, who do I know personally who does marketing? My sister does marketing, right, for businesses. And I was also just chatting with people, trying to learn, right? I don't love social media, to be completely honest, but talking with these different folks who do love it, they were giving me a lot of advice. Hey, you should speak with this person. You should look into this, because I was bootstrapping, it gets really expensive in the beginning stages. So they were directing me towards free resources for, organizations that work with startup companies, or I should even say early stage entrepreneurs. And I'll even just say, like, one of the marketing specialists who I was connected with at the time, I still work with her to this day. And, it's kind of just building relationships along the way and really coming in curious, and also knowing what you bring to the table too, right? And knowing your areas of growth. So it always starts with that self-awareness piece, but being able to really leverage your network, I would say, is like the first step in my journey when I was first launching as far as to approach marketing.
Wonderful. Thank you. Valerie, let's ask you about marketing your business.
So when I started my business, I just had my savings and it wasn't much. And because it was a really interesting way of how I was forced to start my business in a very positive way. And so with that said, I really use social media. And that is where I got my first client. And that's where I've grown most of my client base. And from there, it's been word of mouth. But one of the things that I've learned and has been really successful is actually connecting with folks who could potentially like that are working with my direct clients. So for instance, a lot of our clients, they care about their interior spaces. We're working with a lot of creatives. So who do I know I'm trying to connect with? Who do I know that's going to work directly with them? Interior designers, architects, landscape companies, people who own small businesses. So it's sort of thinking outside the box of how I can connect with them. And then most recently, what's been really successful for us is actually connecting with influencers and not having to spend a ton of money, but providing, like, for me, a service for them, and then them showcasing it on social media has created a big following for us, but then has also deepened my relationships with them and connected me to their social networks. And so that doesn't require a ton of money. And that was really how I have grown my business. And so I would say that providing value, one thing that I would share is people don't know what you know. And so you overthink about what to share, but the majority of what you're going to share is going to be so valuable because people don't know your expertise. And so I think the more value and entertainment that you can provide, and it doesn't have to be dancing, I think that has been very successful for us.
All right, wonderful. Does any other panelists have any other comments about marketing and social media, or even any resources that you have used to help you to market your business?
Yeah, I'm happy to share. We do cause marketing. And if you all want to schedule a free consultation, feel free. I'd love to advise. But you probably know this, but know your customer. Think of that one person that you're reaching out to, and it may be different for different products or services that you provide, but then know where they are, because the biggest time suck is going on social media platforms because you think that you have to do that TikTok dance, but none of your customers are on TikTok. So just to feel better about everything, if your customer's not on TikTok, you don't have to learn that TikTok dance, friends. So just feel better about that. But if they're on TikTok, then yeah, do that thing and bring in the money. So know where your customer is. And then you asked, do you have to know marketing to be a founder? I think that's a good opportunity to bring on a partner that maybe has a sales and marketing background if you don't, because that is such a huge part of having a business, is knowing how to market. But there's also a ton, if you have even just an inkling of creativity, there's a ton of resources online to learn as well. So happy to help.
Wonderful. Lior and Christine, and then Dr. Britton Hale. And then we'll wrap things up.
Sure. Yeah, I found that much like Bree was saying, I think really knowing your population. The folks that I tend to work with really don't spend a lot of time on social media. And so I found that having social media was important, more so just for kind of legitimacy. If people looked me up, they want to see that I have some presence, but I'm not getting any clients from that base. So I really don't put a lot of energy and money and time into that. Within my field, relationships has just been the biggest piece, really word of mouth. And when I say relationships, I don't mean grabbing coffee. It's grabbing coffee and then another coffee and then a lunch and hanging out and really getting to know each other. And I think that has been the biggest source of referrals for my practice, certainly. Outside of that, for what it's worth, Google Ads has been great. So anybody who knows somebody in tech or knows how to work Google Ads, and you're able to kind of find those key phrases that, again, your population is going to be looking up. I found that to be a really useful referral source as well.
Thank you. Christine?
I think what's really helped for me is I think podcasts, like speaking on different podcasts has really helped me and broadening the network and seeing who I can support in my field in a sense where who else graduated from Pepperdine that may need more clients right now and how can I give them clients that I may not have the time to um, have in my current private practice and just making that a very contributing type of space so that we can consult with one another, but we can also share referrals and resources with one another. And just exactly what Lior said, you know, these are the relationships that we get to build and after school we must nurture them or else they're not going to be relationships anymore. And I think that's really been a driving point for me.
Thank you. And then Dr. Britton Hale.
So my business with Brain States is principally consulting services, white papers, and research products. And this isn't something that needs a large inbound funnel, if you will. But how I've made connection is principally through LinkedIn and being credible in my space. And I travel and lecture at conferences, and my network expanded significantly. So now that I have done that thing, they say to, you know, have as many connections of people you like and no one you hate on LinkedIn and look for talent and shared alignment. I get asked to generate a research product based on something I may have said about assassination and regime change or being an expert in discourse analysis. Can I consult on a different project? Like the tech for peace space is quite sizable. And so I get asked to do these kinds of things. And I go to a lot of conferences like Bree. I was at a tech founders conference this week, and it was all about founder mode and how you can really, you know, demonstrate grit. And there was a lot of slogans there that I'm not going to share with you guys today, but you know, founder mode is a thing, and it doesn't mean you're the boss of anything. It means you are really grinding away, and you might be in charge of vacuuming and all the jobs. Like you are all the jobs in founder mode. So if you don't have a budget for marketing and social media isn't the niche, establish your credibility in some place. But for those of you who do think social media is your space, there's a lot of free resources like a social media manager, certain apps that will push out your publication schedule. You can ask ChatGPT to create a marketing plan. You can download that into Canva, and it will give you 30 days of like a quote post for each day. There's lots of ways to go about it without hiring somebody else. It is, like I said, though, it is you vacuuming. It is you doing the jobs until you have a budget to bring in an outside partner on that sort of thing. But I would say that in my space, Twitter and LinkedIn, or Twitter X and LinkedIn, are the key funnels for connecting to other people in the space, but it isn't about a marketing. It isn't a funnel of sales.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Thank you. I want to thank all of the panelists today for all of their advice, their insight, their experience, and everything that they've shared with us. So thank you so much. I'm going to pass you over to Sophia Henriquez because we do have some questions that the audience have for you. So Sophia, I'm passing it on to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Dorn, and thank you so much to our panelists. I know I've learned so much, as have our audience as well. So the first question I want to ask is for Kathy, Lior, and Christine. Someone asked, how have you brought in clients for your practice? And I know we already discussed that, building relationships, Google Ads, podcast, inbound marketing. But there was another question that was talking about, is there value in building your brand when you are still in the process of getting licensed?
I could see an answer that goes kind of both ways there. Maybe I'll speak to my experience. It was really helpful for me not to work on building a brand for myself when I was in the process of getting licensed, because it gave me an opportunity to really learn from others that have done a really great job. And I gained so much from, I mean, I saw there was a question in the chat about mentors, so I guess I'm kind of hitting that as well. But I learned so much from the people that I got to train with and who supervised me and who I just worked with beyond licensure before opening my own practice. And I still have great relationships with them today. I look up to them today. I consult with them today. They're really excellent people. And I think if I were so focused on building my own brand in that moment, I would have missed out on really valuable insight. So yeah, I mean, again, I could see benefits either way, but that was my experience.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Leor. Christine or Kathy, did you have any follow-up for this?
Sure. I just wanted to say, there's so many ideas, so it's easy to want to create a brand right away. And I don't think it's a negative thing. I think it's something where give yourself space for the brand to continue to evolve. Because how you come into your master's program and how you exit, you might have a specific niche that you want to work with, and then all of a sudden the floodgates open and you're like, okay, I'll work with children. I made a hard stop. I was like, I just want to work with individuals, and all of a sudden my heart melted. I was like, I need to work with children now. I need to work with families. And my brand changed, and it continues to change. And all of a sudden, generational trauma and working with Asian American population, and that's kind of how the clientele would kind of knock on my door. So I had to kind of consistently pivot and kind of lift the brand a little bit more and more. Yeah.
Thank you, Christine.
Sure. And I can share with mine, it was a lot of trial and error. And as Christine mentioned, a lot of evolution in the past few years since we started, but trial and error in the sense of, again, I started out with just different entrepreneurship communities. Like I was part of a Filipina entrepreneurship program, which they had a lot of resources. GSEP, Pepperdine, they had a lot of resources. I was also, a University of Michigan alumni, right? So leveraging them, but these different entrepreneurship like communities and building relationships amongst those communities really helped me. Like for example, the Filipina entrepreneurship program, they allowed me to lead a workshop, right? And just networking with people there and providing value in those spaces was really helpful. And also, I know that at some point I had to offer free services initially too, to really, be able to iterate, my programming and services. And so at some point I do highly suggest that, you don't offer free services and you make that switch, but especially in the beginning stages, I do think that there's value in doing that. And especially working with other, like for example, I mentioned I'm not the greatest with marketing, but I did work with other entrepreneurs, right? Who we did trade in services, right? So, okay, I'll coach you, right? If you could help me, we kind of exchanged what we were doing and provided value for one another in that way. And that helped a lot in the beginning stages as well.
Thank you so much to all of you. I think having a flexible mind is such a great tip to have to our audience. We also had a lot of questions about just starting off a business. If you had to advise an inspiring entrepreneur to take a phased approach to launching their business, what specific phases would you outline in order to make the process more manageable? We also had a question about, did you take out a loan or any debt to start your business? If so, where did you invest that credit? And how at what point in your new business did you feel success financially, like made a profit?
I can speak to that a little bit. I didn't take out financing for mine, but I have worked closely with the SBA in different entities. And my local SBA representative, she also advocates on behalf of my federal representative, Scott Peters, in his office. Should you ever have a challenge, she represents you to Scott Peters' office, and he takes it to the federal government should you ever have any hang up. But the SBA local offices are very skilled at understanding what your business needs are, and they can help direct you through the regulatory environment. And the state of California also has a very comprehensive website through the Attorney General and other entities to say, here's how you get licensed, or here's a step-by-step, and your local city governments can help you understand, do you need a business license for this? What kind of business license do you need to operate? And then I would say LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer also have a lot of resources in that way. So if you are going to take on financing, there are some constraints on how to use that and where you can use that. But starting with the SBA is a good one. But something else I did do in regards to financing is I spoke to an expert in student loans and student loan taxation, understanding how to structure my tax payments as married filing singly, so that my student loan repayment isn't dependent on my husband's income. I wanted to make sure it was structured separately to account for a long lead up in revenue should I never make a dollar, or maybe I made a lot, but I wanted it to be separate. So I worked with a taxation specialist to safeguard revenue and that structure. And that was really critical in understanding those different plans, income driven and save, and even the ones that are held up in the courts. But I would speak to a taxation specialist because you end up having more money available for your business if you do it properly.
Yeah, and I can say, because I was kind of thinking, how can you frame this? Because it's, yes, phased approach is important. So there's kind of the pre-launch, which a lot of you are in, that's the testing, right? You want to make sure you can test, even if it's a service-based business, you can still find ways to test and get creative. And in that point, you're raising seed funds. So friends and family, out of your own pockets, you can do credit cards, you can do loans, like it all just depends on your personal situation and the business. And then you go into phase one, which is like a soft launch. And then, and that's where you can kind of start to roll out your marketing strategy. You can see if you can bring on funders. One quick tip, QuickBooks. They actually do like if you're a regular customer, they will do financing. And if you do a good job on paying your payments, they'll give you more and more and more. So that's kind of good. So once you start generating your own income, then you're able to kind of float that and just build from there. And that's my personal recommendation, is as much as you can keep your own equity, do it. Be like Sarah Blakely and own your business. And then you just kind of go from there. Obviously there's ways to start doing venture funding depending on the kind of business you have. And then the other resource I have for you, if you are a little further along, or when you get further along, is Cherub. And Cherub will match. It's a matchmaking service to match entrepreneurs with angel investors. So when you get to that point where you're ready to take an angel, but again, it's probably better just to keep the majority of your business or get a business partner, but totally depends on what you're up to.
Lior, we'll finish off with you.
Yeah, I'll make it really quick. I just to piggyback off of what was already said, but I think the most important phase is the first phase of data collection. Just data. Know what are people charging out there in different areas? What are the costs of rent? How many people are people seeing? You can find out a lot of information without having to spend any money, just by picking up a phone and asking people if they're open to, sharing information with you. I know many attorneys are happy to have free consultations and provide some basic information, and then, maybe you'll decide to work with them. But there are lots of free resources out there, and I found that collecting a lot of data before making any moves was very helpful.
Thank you so much, Lior. Thank you so much to our panelists. Valerie, I'm sorry, did you want anything else to add to this questions? Good. Okay. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. I know we have prospective students here with us today. Thank you for joining us. So I'll hand it over to Gary Younger, who is our enrollment officer, and he can share more with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Yes, I'm Gary Younger. I'm one of 6 enrollment officers within the Graduate School of Education in Psychology, which is comprised of both an in-person division and an online division, and they are very separate. I had planned to itemize which programs are online and which programs are in person. And some of them are a combination of both, but I think that would just serve to confuse everybody. So I'm going to break it down this way and provide you with information on how to research further and do a deep dive into your special interests. Of the 17 programs in total that we offer, both online and in person combined, 10 of those programs are in-person programs. 4 of our programs can be taken either online or in person. We also offer 4 hybrid options, but those are through our in-person division. They're primarily focused within the education division. And by the way, of the 17 programs that we offer here, 5 are doctorates and the other 12 are master's degrees, either Master of Arts or Master of Science degrees, all spanning between education and psychology, which is the acronym for GSEP, Graduate School of Education and Psychology. And then we have one program that's only offered online. They're for Master of Sciences in Education, but it has 4 concentrations. So the core curriculum spans all 4 of the concentrations, and then the concentrations break out into all Master of Science degrees in Leadership in Higher Education, Leadership in Design and Technology, Leadership Pre-K through 12 Education, and Organizational Leadership and Learning. And all of those can be pathways to our 4 doctorates in education as well. If you go to our website, and maybe somebody would be kind enough to put this in the chat while I'm mentioning this for everybody's help, gsep.pepperdine.edu. If you simply put that into your browser, that will pull up our Graduate School of Education and Psychology, which is currently one of 5 of the schools under the Pepperdine umbrella, soon to be a 6th. Once you're on that website, you can access a button called Academics. That button will break down the 17 programs, as well as point you to an online button for our online offerings. Under each of the programs in Academics, you'll find information on application requirements, curriculum, tuition, financial aid, scholarships, etc. Almost as importantly, if you scroll down to the very bottom of each program's site page, you'll find the name and contact information of my colleagues and the programs that they cover within those site pages. So let's say, for example, you were interested in PsyD, you went to Academics, you saw the program, you pulled up various sources of information, but you wanted to be able to get a hold of me. Again, just simply scroll down to the very bottom of the page where you'll find my image, my contact information, both email and direct line, and better yet, a link that says schedule an appointment. What that link does, and this is available for all of my colleagues, for all of the programs that we cover, what that does is provide you with access to openings on our calendars where you can actually schedule an appointment to meet with us by phone. So if you have any questions about what you're checking out on our website, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're very happy to help you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gary. Thanks for being here. And I know we're at time, but we just have a few more announcements. If those of you can hang tight for just a few more minutes, and then we'll wrap up. I want to turn it over to Dr. Rachel Getler, because I think she has a program that might be very relevant to some of you who are interested in pursuing a career in consulting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the panelists. This was so informative. And so many of the nuggets that were shared today are really covered in a deep dive in a consulting certificate program that we've been offering through the Graduate School of Education and Psychology through the Center of Global Partnership and Learning since 2020. It's a consulting certificate program that will help you launch your business. And we have a program starting in October. It's Saturday online classes where we go into that legal structure, help you with accounting, help you understand how to be a coach, a consultant, to launch your own business, and help you with problem-solving models. I've dropped a few details in the chat, and it's also in your participant drive. But I'd be happy to answer any questions. You can call me, text me, email me, and I look forward to exploring that with you. I, too, am a graduate of GSEP with my Doctor of Education and Organizational Leadership. And I have a partner with this program, Dr. Ed Ng, who is the Mayor Pro Temp of La Mirada, the former Executive Director of the County of Los Angeles, a national top bookseller. So we'd love for you to join us this October. If you have questions, let me know. And we do offer discounts for our Pepperdine community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Gettler. It's a great program. I've heard rave reviews for those who've attended. Thank you. Okay, I just want to close out with a few resources that we think might be helpful. So Franya will put this in the chat. We have an AI career toolkit where you can access curated career resources to help you have greater efficiency with your career exploration and employment search process. And one in particular is called Looka, and this will allow you to create custom logos and design assets. So Franya will drop that in the chat. And then I'll turn it over now to my colleague, Usman Khan, to just share briefly about our DEIB vision. Usman?
Thank you, Yas. Hi, everyone. I'm Usman Khan. I serve as our career design counselor at GSEP Career Services. Our vision, as we shared earlier, is that every GSEP graduate will have the clarity, confidence, and community to access, thrive in, and transform the future workplace. As part of our vision and commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and our efforts, we're committed to ensuring that you, including all our students and alumni, have access to our resources and services from an equitable lens, and to foster a sense of community and belonging for each of you while being able to honor each of your diverse backgrounds and identities. And as part of our resources today, we're sharing by Purdue Global funding grant opportunities for small business owners and entrepreneurs. We also have resources and tools that are free of charge by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for also small business owners and entrepreneurs on the second link. And then the third one is if you identify as a Black business owner or a Black entrepreneur, we also have resources and support and networking programs for you. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to the Dean.
Yes. Okay, so we always appreciate feedback. We would love it if you are able to scan the QR code on the screen or to go to the link that is on the screen. It's also provided in the chat, and provide your feedback about our session today. And all those who do are entered for an opportunity drawing for an Amazon gift card. And we also want to look forward to what's next. So if you feel like today was helpful, you enjoy these events, we're having another one in October. It'll be on the 23rd of October, also on Zoom. And it will be called Recruiting Insider, How to Work with Executive Search Firms and Employment Agencies. So if you're interested in that, if you're curious about it, please join us for that. You can register via Handshake just like you did for today. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And Franya dropped in the chat the registration as well. So I'll just turn it over to Sophia to finish us up.
Yeah, so I invite you all to follow us on social media. That's where we post a lot of our events, such as Jammy. So we really want you to be in the know. So go ahead and follow us on all those social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we have an alumni LinkedIn group for all of our GSEP alumni. And now I invite you all to, if you're able to, go ahead and open up your cameras because we'd love to take a picture with you all today. We really appreciate all your time. So I'm going to count to 3 for those that are able to, and you can throw up your favorite emoji, and we can go ahead and take a picture. So I'm going to count to 3. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
Got it. We got it. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. So happy to see you and just so grateful for the panelists who shared their wisdom and experiences with us. We look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks again.